guys, what's up? Welcome back to Stormworks, and we are once again working on our Earth Mover. So I did a little bit of work off camera, as you guys can see if you were following the series. The overall structure is a little bit bigger, but I also doubled up on the wheel bogies. So we basically have the base of this all figured out. So in the rest of the episode, this entire episode, we're going to be working on the turntable part of the build now, and then also basically the power unit, which is going to act a little bit like a counterweight. So we will talk about that a little bit more once we get to it. But for now, I am just working on the turntable, which is just the platform on top of the frame that rotates around that turret ring. Anyways, if you are new around here, or at least to this series, let me explain a little bit more of what we're actually building here. So we are building what is called a Bucket Wheel Excavator, but more specifically, it's kind of based off of the bagger designs. So it's essentially just a giant spinning wheel that's going to have buckets on it to dig up ores. Where this is kind of different than a normal bucket wheel excavator is it's going to be big, but most of them are. We're going to have this really weird thing behind it towing. And that's going to be the power unit. So we'll work on that a little bit today. But essentially this thing is just a giant excavator that's going to be used for mining and ore extraction. And it will work. We'll get to that, further down the series, but we'll talk about how all that works, but it will work and function as an actual mining vehicle. So you will be able to actually extract ores with it. But for now, again, we've kind of got to work on a lot of the base first. There's a lot of moving parts that are going to go into that. And this is the first of many, and the largest that a lot of them are going to attach to. So once we get this figured out, we can start working on the actual bucket wheel and whatnot. But for now, I want to get this platform sorted. I also want to get the power unit sorted. So the power unit's basically just going to be a little trailing vehicle with a bridge that transfers power, but it's also going to keep fuel away from the bucket wheel. It's also going to be mounted in the opposite end of where the bucket wheel is mounted from. So it's going to act as a counterweight as well, which is going to be kind of nice because that'll act as two positives and it'll just kind of look cool. That's really the main reason I'm doing it. It looks cool. Let's be honest. That's, to be fair, the main reason I do a lot of these things. That's actually the main reason I'm even building this in the first place is because I think it looks cool. And I've always wanted to build one of these. Now, it's not going to be a really faithful recreation to the actual baggers. I think most people that watch my stuff will probably know that by now. I don't do the recreation thing too often. But it is going to be this basically giant monolithic moving building. And that's basically the goal. I just want a giant excavator. I want a massive object on tracks that moves around. So that is really why I'm building this. I've always thought they were cool. I've never really been able to figure out how to get it to work. I've kind of always personally been a little bit critical of the mining system in Stormworks, although I kind of get it. It's pretty hard to implement that kind of a thing into the game, especially with ground deformation and whatnot. So I understand it. It just, I don't know, not my cup of tea, because to make mining vehicles in this game, a lot of them just aren't really realistic. And they don't look realistic is the thing. So I'm not super interested in making them. But this I can make function, and it's not going to look realistic, but it'll at least look cool. And sorry about the noise in the background. Sushi Man, if you're new around here, Sushi Man is my cat. He's a very young little boy, is playing on the desk. So you might hear some noise in the background. Everybody say hi. He's happy and healthy. We just went to the vet, and we're both doing good. So anyways, I'm just in the background, just doing kind of some shaping work, as you guys can see. Nothing really too crazy. I'm just trying to make this platform look a little bit nicer, like how I want it. Trying to make it look a little bit stronger as well, instead of just a one block thin plate. That front section where it's kind of reinforced with the raised, I don't even know what you want to call that, the little platform. That's where the main hinges are going to connect. And then back here is where we're going to get into the power unit thing. But before we get into that, I'm going to get us into a time lapse. So I will talk to you guys in just a few minutes. We're going to get some blocks placed, and then I'm going to come back and we'll talk about, exactly what's going on here, because it doesn't really make sense unless I explain it. But anyways, I will be back in just a few minutes. right, so we've done quite a lot, and now we've got this weird thing in the back. So this is the power unit, and also going to be a counterweight. So that's kind of what I meant when I said we're going to have this weird following thing. Yeah, this thing is going to be its own complete vehicle that you can drive and steer, that is going to be hard attached to the other vehicle, to the Bucket Wheel Excavator. But within this thing, we're going to put a big motor and a gas tank, and that way we can isolate all of that, and we'll make the overall mining thing, the excavator, a lot safer. And then we can send cables, power through cables back to the Bucket Wheel Excavator. So that's going to be the plan. You're also going to be able to drive it and steer it just to help maneuver the larger vehicle. You'll be able to kind of push it around and whatnot. So it'll be really nice for traversing terrain and kind of keeping balance, which is very convenient because it's going to be a counterweight. But yeah, so that's kind of what this thing's for. And I know it looks really, really weird right now. This thing is going to get changed a lot. But just stick with me. You know, we'll get it looking semi decent for now. It is what it is. We're going to come back and obviously do a lot more work to it, but we've got a lot to do in this episode. So we're just going to stay in the time lapse, basically 200% this whole episode. But right now I'm just making this thing pretty much really, really heavy. And I'm just trying to make it also look a little bit better, because I'll be honest, not loving how it was looking. It was just, the giant brick in the back, but it's starting to look a little bit better here. It's a lot smaller. Well, it's funny I say that. It is a lot smaller on the inside than you'd think, just because the tracks are so big. But we are going to have to figure out a way to get a driver's seat in there as well. So the layout that I come up with is very fun. If you don't like symmetrical designs, you're probably going to hate everything about this entire build. It's pretty much going to be very, very asymmetrical, the entire thing. But that is going to be one of the solutions to us saving space on the inside of this thing. But yeah, I just beefed up the back there. You guys also saw in the time lapse, we tested this little arm that we made, and we'll have to put some more love into that. But for now, I just want to drive around and watch this thing kind of chase the main excavator. It's kind of fun. I did hook up the motors and whatnot. You guys can see there's two different seats. The seat I'm in, obviously, is controlling the tracks, and then the seat behind it is going to be controlling the turntable, which right now is kind of doing its own thing. But we'll spin it around, and you can see the two turret rings and the hinges back here. It kind of works well. There's one axis that we don't really have covered, and that's the twisting, the rotation. But it would kind of be annoying to get that in there, and I don't really care that much. The rest of it works fine. And to be fair, the excavator, the tracks themselves can compensate for that a little bit. Unfortunately, on this vehicle, the following vehicle, they don't. But that's just because they're hard mounted. There's no suspension. I don't really think there's a need for it. It's just going to kind of make things more complicated, more laggy. But right now I'm adding these cool little bump stops. I want to add some bump stops just so when you inevitably slam this thing into the end, it doesn't just explode on impact. So that's kind of what these pistons are here for. We're just going to go ahead and make sure they are all merged together. Make sure all these physics bodies are one. And if I did not merge those side to side, I probably should. And I'll go back and check that if I didn't. I'll make sure I get those. But anyways, we'll just lower those. 100% is basically just going to feel like a brick. And thank you. I did merge them. Good. And we'll just make them bright red because it's nice and visible. So why not? It also, it fits the theming. So we'll also stick with that. And I'm just going to add some sliding rails back here for the bump stop, and it will hopefully look a little bit cooler. But yeah, I think that stuff like this will be important. My goal is for this thing to work with vehicle damage on, obviously, but it will probably not work on low physics, unfortunately. I know I usually make a lot of mine. I'm just testing the pistons there. Sorry. I know I make a lot of my stuff on purpose, to be, functional at pretty much any physics level. But with this, we're going to be dependent on a lot of ropes, and that becomes a problem for the game. And don't mind me, I am just trying to beat the vehicle up in the background. So Anyways, that should be good as long as I kind of acknowledge that there's more than one bump stop that we need here. But I don't know if I'm going to keep these ones. It's, I don't know, more physics bodies again, more lag, that kind of thing. And just, you know how it goes. Trying to keep the game alive by the time I am done building this creation. And that is unfortunately something I really, really have to think about in a lot of my builds these days, which kind of sucks. But, it is Stormworks, and I am purposely kind of pushing the limits of it and myself. So I guess we're going to have these issues anyways. Now, the inner part of this truss structure is way too small, so I want to get a little bit of triangles going on over here too, and we'll make this look a lot stronger. And then I don't really know what's going on with the pipe down there. I guess we'll just have it for future planning if we need it. We'll probably end up taking that out, honestly. But because we move that forward, we can move the bump stop forward. We can get a little bit more range out of it, and boom, slam it into each other, slam it into each other. Yeah, it looks like we're good. We could just keep beating it up. Now, obviously, we're going to add a lot more weight to this creation, so that's going to maybe cause problems with that in the future. But we can always just go back and, up the pistons up a little bit. Just like that. Just give them the old 100. And now they're stiff as a rock. But anyways, let's get the rest of this truss in, and that will be pretty much all the building we really have in this episode. I know we covered a lot, but there's a ton more to do, and a lot of this was just kind of placing blocks, blocking it out, getting the silhouette going. Obviously, we got our little bridge in. I don't know what to call this thing, but it's here, and it's here to stay, and I think it looks cool, but the rest, obviously, it's going to need a lot more detailing. So let's just make sure this fully extends still and doesn't bind up or anything. And and then we'll pretty much call it quits from there. So let's just get this moving. I did slow down the time lapse, so we're actually in real time now. And funny weight things, haha. It's moving the tracks along with the base. But that'll change once we get more weight on this thing, which is going to become a problem because we'll have to adjust the tracks. But that's an issue for another episode. That is all the building we have in this one. So I'm just going to keep messing around with it in the background here. If you guys made it to the end of this episode, thank you so much. As always, the support has been awesome. I hope you guys really like this build series. This build series has me very enthusiastic about Stormworks again. So hopefully we get that going again. But yeah, we'll definitely keep these videos going. The DSV has been getting work in the background. I don't know if the Saturday video will be the DSV. I don't know. I've kind of got some weird schedule stuff coming up. But anyways, enough of that, guys. That's all I got for you in this one. Thank you all for staying. If you guys like the series, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll catch you all in the next episode, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.